Can the Red Sox defense be fixed? Something has to be done as the team let another one slip away with a loss to the Marlins in the second game of the series.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Locked On Red Sox. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Hurlbut, former ESPN social media associate and current host of the Boston Balling podcast. Happy to bring you another episode of Locked On Red Sox, although it's not such a happy time for the team. Yet again, the Red Sox experienced another tough loss against Miami to lose the series and lose another game at home against a National League team. So I'll be diving into all of that in game 2 of the series on this episode here. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. So obviously it's more frustration for the Red Sox, more, stupid mistakes that we feel like shouldn't be happening and still are. So I'm going to be reacting to all of it on this episode and just what we've seen in this mess of a series. I'm going to be talking about Tanner Houck. The Red Sox did release an update on him on Tuesday night, and I'm also going to be making a case for Alex Verdugo and why I believe he should be in the All-Star game. Hope everybody is off to a great start to the day so far, despite the fact that our baseball team in Boston keeps letting us down. So one of the biggest takeaways for me from this series so far is just the basics and fundamentals, lack of fundamentals. In game 2 against the Marlins, going into the rain delay, things were looking pretty good. Pivetta was on the mound. He was pitching really well. 7 strikeouts over 3.1 innings pitched. He was rolling. It was a tie 1-1 game. So I felt like maybe this was a good game for the Red Sox. Maybe they come out with a win and then unfortunately go into the rain delay and I'm in good spirits, and then they come out of the rain delay and everything just falls apart again and the wheels kind of come off the bus. And I feel badly for Pivetta because those 2 runs that scored in the 6th inning that were charged to him should not have been scored. First of all, what was ruled a wild pitch should have been ruled a pass ball because Connor Wong absolutely cannot let them pass that past him. So that to me should have been a pass ball more so than a wild pitch. That was on Connor Wong 100%. He shouldn't have let that get by him. And then David Hamilton just fumbles the bag on a play. I understand the attempt. He was trying to field it and get it to first base quickly for an out. But that's the type of play where you just bat the ball down in front of you and should have just kept it in front of him, limiting the damage. I respect the hustle on his part, and he's still learning. So this is something that hopefully he starts to develop along the way. It's a temporary Band-Aid at shortstop. He is getting his opportunity, but he's not quite the solution at the moment that the team needs. So there's just so many different things that can be said about this game and this series. It's yet another series that they should have been able to win, and they didn't. Obviously, just looked like an absolute mess in game 1, and that doesn't even deserve to be talked about. But game 2, the defensive mistakes are continuing to drive me absolutely crazy because they're just not thinking and they're not making plays that they should be making. And it's really irritating to see that because they are better than that and they should be able to make these plays on the defensive end. So to see that cost them the game ultimately today was beyond frustrating. I just feel like, there's so many people on this team right now that are just not thinking. When they're in the field, it's just like, what is this team doing? And, Hamilton, you can kind of give him a pass because he's still new to the scene and he's still learning, but he panicked and he didn't make the right play. But the problem is it's all of that continuing to add up. And the fact that so many defensive miscues have taken place this season and it's cost the Red Sox games. And it really is looking a lot like last year from that standpoint with the defensive miscues, because there's just so many things that are happening with this team right now, and it's beyond irritating. I do like how Pivetta looked. He definitely has been better out of the bullpen than when he was in the rotation. I hope that they don't take this and use it as a reason to move him back into the rotation. But he did look good, and it's just disappointing that he had to take the loss because of his teammates and those miscues heading out of the rain delay. And then, they just kept padding the lead. The Marlins are a good team. They are where they are for a reason, but these were mistakes that could have been avoided, and that's just been a common theme all season, is making mistakes that could have been avoided. And it's really upsetting and really irritating when they continue to do that on a day-to-day basis, because there's just so many things you can say, like what is it going to take to really fix it, or can they? Jarren Duran, I thought, had a really strong at-bat in the ninth inning, which is a positive to take away from the game. He battled that entire at-bat and then got a hit in the inning. So I thought that was promising. He continues to show improvement. He continues to show that he belongs. Here, I don't agree with Cora benching him today and not playing him in the lineup. I think he should be playing more regularly. So I really liked what I saw from him during that at bat. I think it was, a really good situation. Yoshida coming into pinch hit, I didn't hate that. I know it was a lefty-lefty matchup, so we knew it might be difficult, and it didn't work out ultimately in the end. But you have to pinch hit somebody for Kike there, because Kike just has not been producing on the offensive end, and so you need somebody to come in and take a chance and pinch hit. And Yoshida is a type of guy in that situation that it could make sense to gamble with and see if he can get something going offensively. And obviously it didn't work this time, but it's baseball. There's going to be gambles. There's going to be hard decisions to be made. So I don't hate the decision. I actually agreed with it. And I said, yeah, I just don't want Kike to be taking this at bat. So that made sense to me. But overall, the theme of this game was once again the defensive miscues. And there's just been way too much of that going on and taking place here, because you can't have that happen when the players on this team are professionals. These are things that they shouldn't be doing, and they should know how to not make certain mistakes. And it's just irritating when it seems like they lack some fundamentals, which they shouldn't. And other teams just look sharper. I mean, the Marlins just are playing better baseball and look like a sharper team than the Red Sox. So taking away from game 2 of the series, that was the biggest thing for me. And it just, again, watching it cost the Red Sox another game, because when the Marlins went up 4-1, I just said, I don't have a good feeling. I don't think the Red Sox come back in this game, because the offense once again has been pretty dormant. And it's just one thing after another, really. It's really just one thing after another. And Winckowski still is struggling. He early on was fine, but his last, 15 outings or so, it's just been a constant decline for him, and that's just not great. So we'll see what happens there with him. Obviously, I think from a Red Sox standpoint, he is here to stay for a while, but they need to figure something out, because it's just getting to be the same things over and over again. So you have to wonder how they make that work. But overall, another frustrating series. I was hoping they would be able to bounce back after the series loss to the White Sox, but they've struggled against the National League at home this season, and it's they have not won a lot of those games. So I don't know why that is, but they don't have a great record against the National League, especially at Fenway. So hopefully they can get that figured out, but let's just hope that they don't get swept, because we need to start winning some games. Just got to start stringing together some wins and play better defense. I am just asking for better defense. Coming up, I'm going to be giving an update on Tanner Houck. The Red Sox did give a pretty promising update on him and what that does mean for the pitching staff moving forward. So that is all coming up next. This episode is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is the place for last minute ticket deals. Forget planning months in advance. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the day of the event. Get exclusive flash deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. The Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Game Time is really great. I can't emphasize enough how good it really is. And it's such an easy app to navigate to look for great deals, even last minute. If you're like myself and sometimes plan things out last minute, it's perfect for you last minute people out there that decide, oh, I want to go to this concert tomorrow night and you need to scramble to find tickets. So people who are like that, I know I very much am. So it works out well for me. So highly recommend using it because it'll work in your favor and it'll be in your best interest to use it, I promise. So the Red Sox did give a positive update on Tanner Houck in terms of where he's at with his injury. And obviously we all saw what happened in the game against the Yankees, when he went down and got hit with that comebacker in the face, and it was super scary to watch. But he did go through surgery. They said it was a really successful surgery, which is super promising. It was actually closer to his ear than his nose, which the doctors were saying is best for his recovery in terms of being able to have a smooth process. And the Red Sox are placing him on the 15-day IL instead of the 60-day IL, which is also another promising thing because they are hopeful that he'll be able to pitch again this season. So I really like that. I think, him coming back is key for this pitching staff. But one thing I do wonder, since he is injured and the timeline of his return is unknown, what does that mean for the rest of the pitching staff? Obviously, we saw him pitching really well before he got injured, and it was all really unfortunate. But I liked to hear that they're hopeful that he can come back and pitch again. But I'm wondering, does this mean that the Red Sox try to move somebody else back into the rotation, or do they start, looking at the starting pitching market now to find somebody? And after his outing today, I started to, in my head, wonder, will they use this whole Houck injury situation as a reason to move Pivetta back into the rotation? And I hope the answer to that question is no, because yes, he's been pitching well, but that's been out of the bullpen. I don't want to relive the Pivetta in the rotation experiment. I think he's much better in the bullpen. I think he looks more comfortable there. And for him, he's doing it with a lot more ease in terms of getting things done and being able to produce when he needs to and make the outs he needs to. And he just looked really confident out there in game 2. He looked comfortable and confident, and he was getting the job done and taking care of those Marlins hitters. So I like him in the bullpen. I prefer for him to stay there, but the Red Sox do need to start pursuing the pitching market if they want to find somebody, because obviously, with first the Sale injury and then Houck getting injured, it's not an ideal situation for the Red Sox to be in. And we've had great starts from Bayo, great starts from Paxton. Whitlock obviously struggled significantly in game 1 against the Marlins, but overall he's been pretty reliable. Cutter Crawford's been off and on. I'm still not fully sold on him. And then, they have this whole, we'll figure something out with the 5th day, a bullpen day like they did in game 2 with Ort starting. Don't even get me started on that. That guy, the fact that he's still getting chances is crazy to me, but that's a conversation for another day. But there are some starting pitchers who might be available coming closer to the trade deadline that are on teams that aren't going to contend. The Red Sox should start looking into somebody. Chaim Bloom's always been one to wait until closer to the trade deadline to make the moves he wants to make and really see what's out there and see what's available. But for me, they need to do something now because Houck is a pretty big void to fill. And if they don't replace him, it's going to be hard for them to kind of go about what they're doing here with the pitching staff. And when it comes to that fifth day, just doing a bullpen day or just figuring something out, because they do have a few strong relievers, but they're not, deep enough from a bullpen standpoint where we can do those bullpen days regularly and feel confident. So I would like to see them try to pursue somebody. There's the White Sox are a team that likely will sell at the deadline. They've been a disappointment this season. There's a lot of talent on that team, but they've really been struggling. So realistically, they can get some great return on some of these players. I do wonder if Lucas Giolito will be moved. He has not had his best season this year by any stretch of the word. He has been struggling, but that's not to say that he can't turn things around. So he is a name I'm looking at as a potential. If the Red Sox do sign him, it could have the potential to be really bad if he's still not pitching well, or it could be really rewarding for them later on if they kind of bite the bullet and take the chance and sign him because they know what he can do when he's at his best, and then just hope that it works out from that standpoint, because we know that he is a good pitcher when he's on. And if he's on, he'll win a lot of games. So he would be a good addition to the pitching staff for now as a rental. And, you don't have to lock him up long term. But if he starts to pitch really well again, then maybe they consider working something out with him. But I truly believe that, that's just one example of a pitcher. Obviously, like we said, he's been struggling, but that doesn't necessarily mean that'll continue. So he's just one example of a name, but I'm looking at a lot of different teams, and there's a lot of pitching options out there of people who might be moved. And, because even the worst teams in the league, a lot of them still have pitchers that could be moved to a team that has a chance to contend. And so if the Red Sox are going to be a team that, wants to kind of hang with their division, they should aim for a proven starting pitcher who has a success rate. But if this is just a little void to fill until Houck gets back, because Houck is ultimately a pitcher for the future, that's going to be a huge part of the future of this franchise. So if you bring in somebody who won't cost as much, that could be the way to go for right now, because you really aren't, trying to invest in a pitcher at this deadline to help you for this year if they feel like they can't contend, which it's starting to look more and more like that with each day that passes. So you don't want to give up, too many of your farm talent to get somebody for this year just to fill that hole until Houck is able to come back, because it's just not worth it. But I do think they should look into getting somebody, because you also don't want to wear the bullpen out too much by, bringing these bullpen games in every fifth day and just hoping that everybody can still be fine to pitch the next day. So I do think it's worth their while to look into somebody, but it doesn't have to be a huge name. And with the fact that Giolito has been struggling and hasn't had his best season this year, he might not cost as much to get him, when he's on a downswing. And then if he goes up from there, then that would be a huge win for the Red Sox. So maybe somebody like that who hasn't had the best season is the best way to go for the Red Sox right now, because their goal should be get somebody who can help get the job done, but not have it be somebody where you're going to have to blow your farm system up to get somebody to help you out this season until Houck comes back. Because if you're likely not going to be a team that really can contend, then there's no point in doing that. So I'd be interested in seeing what Bloom does. I'm sure he's starting to pursue the starting pitching market, but I don't expect it to be somebody who is, having a fantastic season this year, because they shouldn't be going out and spending a lot on a starter right now. But I do think they bring, somebody in that can be ready to pitch now at the major league level. I mean, they'll do minor league deals. They just did one the other day, and that's totally fine. But you need somebody who can just kind of right now be in the rotation, and it doesn't have to be this big name starter. But I am excited for Houck to hopefully return. That's all positive news that we got on him. They are hopeful that he'll be able to pitch again this season. So we do like to hear that, because he truly has shown a lot of growth this season. Coming up, I'm going to make a case for Alex Verdugo and why he should be in the All-Star game. the Red Sox don't have representation right now. And, for good reason, there aren't a lot of players who really have been performing up to that caliber. But Verdugo has had a strong season in multiple facets of the game. So coming up, I'm going to explain why he should be an all-star. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to Locked On Red Sox wherever you listen to podcasts, whether that's on Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else. Or you can follow the show on YouTube, as the episodes are be posted daily, Monday through Friday, about the Red Sox. Follow the show on Twitter at LO_Red Sox. Wherever you do listen to the show, be sure to leave a review and rate the show. And just subscribe, just support, just share the show with your friends and family or anybody else who's a big Red Sox fan. Just continue to engage and have fun with me, and we'll go on this crazy journey together. You can follow me on Instagram at Gabby_Hurlbut10 and on Twitter at Gabby Hurlbut10. I'm always around to talk Sox, and I've had people reach out to me on those platforms just to ask questions about my thoughts or just interact. So I'm always down for the interaction. I actually love it. So follow my social media accounts, follow the show on social media, subscribe to the show, download the episodes, listen, and we'll talk about everything Red Sox every day. That's what I'm here for, and I love it. So follow me, follow the show, and I look forward to more interactions. So obviously the Red Sox have had a lot of lows this season, but one high is the season that Alex Verdugo is having. Offensively, he's been the Red Sox most consistent and strongest hitter. And defensively, he's been having a good season as well. He has 9 defensive runs saved out in the outfield. He has 88 hits, 26 doubles, 4 triples, 5 home runs, and 32 RBIs, and a 307 batting average. Those are impressive numbers. He's hitting really well. He's making things happen on the base paths. He's not the most power hitter, but he doesn't really need to be. He does hit the ball hard, and he'll hit his singles, he'll hit his doubles, and he'll find opportunities, and he'll drive runs in. He'll hit situationally, which is when the Red Sox really need it. And he works really hard. I could tell just from his interviews that he wants to be here and he enjoys being here. And he is working on improving his game so much. And just the growth I've seen from him between last year and this year is pretty incredible. He's just pitching a lot better. He's just hitting a lot better. And it just in general has just been a great person to have around the clubhouse, and he seems to be able to motivate his teammates, and he wants to be here. And defensively, I mean, we all know playing in the outfield at Fenway is not an easy task, and he's been taking that in stride and really been able to show that he belongs out there and deserves to be out there, and he's made some phenomenal catches on defense. So it would be foolish to not give him the opportunity to play in the All-Star game. It's been one of his goals for a while, and he's been working hard to get there. And when he comes up to the plate, a lot of times, I look forward to seeing him get a hit. He crushed another one in game 2 against the Marlins. It just unfortunately was just hit to an outfielder. But he crushes the ball, and he knows he has, good location and understands where in the ballpark he should be hitting the ball. So just from a development standpoint, he does deserve to be there with the All-Stars. And one of my favorite things about him is just how he brings a spark to the lineup. So if people are struggling and they're in a little bit of a lull, he'll approach the plate with some energy, and he'll, hit some loud baseballs, and it might not always be for a hit, but you'll be able to hear it a lot of times, and he'll make contact with the ball, and it'll wake people up that are watching the game, I know myself included. And you want somebody like that in your lineup who's going to provide an offensive spark. And I just enjoy what he brings to the team and what he brings to the lineup, because he's going to continue to improve. And obviously, we can look at that Mookie Betts trade and say, I really miss Mookie, and I am bummed about the return we got for him. But being able to see the growth Verdugo has shown has been really exciting. And I have thoroughly enjoyed having him here. And to be able to just watch him on a day-to-day basis just get better and better is super fun. And he's to me, someone who deserves an extension. I feel like the Red Sox should give him some big money because he just really knows how to do a lot of different things. He's become much more comfortable with Fenway, which is evident in his play. And I really like that he just brings energy because it really seems to me, I don't know about you, but to me, it seems like when the Red Sox are at the plate in general, they don't really have a lot of fire on offense and they're almost going through the motions in a way. He doesn't go through the motions. He really tries to find the best pitch to swing at. And if things are dull for the Red Sox and the offense doesn't show up that day, you can trust that Alex is going to show up and he's going to be hitting. And I like his attitude. I think that was one of the biggest things that makes him stand out is he has a really good attitude. And even the fact that the team is not great this year, he still just is constantly positive and constantly staying locked in and just wants what's best for the team. So that's the type of player I'd want to be in the All-Star game. And he really should be considered just simply for the fact that he leads American League outfielders in quite a few offensive categories. And it's important to know that and just note that he, is at the top of the charts in a lot of categories for not only the Red Sox, but really for the whole American League. So that to me does stand out. Coming here, nobody really knew what his ceiling was. I was excited to have him, but wasn't sure how he would react to playing in Boston. But I believe he's taken that in such stride and he's looked more and more comfortable being in a Red Sox uniform. And the things he does on the field to make an impact on this team are awesome. And I've really enjoyed being able to watch him play. So I'm hoping that he's able to get an all-star bid. I know Alex Cora is behind him on that, and I'm sure his teammates would support that as well because the outfield has been something that for the last few years, really, ever since they broke up that trio from the 2018 team, the offense really has been an area that the Red Sox have struggled with being able to feel confident in the players they're fielding out there in the outfield to make those plays. So for me, it's just a matter of, having Alex out there who's able to make really strong plays defensively does make a difference in that outfield. Because if you looked at the players they had out there, nobody was sure how Yoshida was going to be able to do in the outfield. Obviously, we knew Duvall is an outfielder. Kike is a lot more comfortable in the outfield than he is in the infield as well. So you do have players who can play defense out there. But Verdugo just really has stood out this year in terms of all those diving catches that he's made and really, really putting in the effort to help this team win, even when times are tough. So, in so many words, he deserves an all-star bid out of anybody on the team. He really does deserve it because players are going to go through slumps offensively, but he really, for this entire season so far, has been a pretty reliable hitter and somebody that the Red Sox can count on a day-to-day basis. So, I hope he can continue that and get to the All-Star game because he absolutely deserves it. And he's one of the most fun players that this team has right now. And as they look into the future and look at the players that they see being a part of that, it would be a huge disappointment if they don't see Verdugo being a part of that. And you obviously never know who they're going to move when and who's going to be part of it for them and part of their vision. But I really, really hope he is because he is a difference maker on this team. And you can tell, I mean, even when he was on the bereavement list and he wasn't in the lineup, you could tell that the energy was different. And I think he, brings some positivity to this team when a lot of things are going poorly. And he has a smile on his face a lot. So you need somebody like that to lighten the mood in the clubhouse. And Verdugo does a lot of that. So he deserves to be an all-star. And hopefully he gets there. Again, don't forget to check out the show, subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, follow it, leave a review, leave a rating, interact with me. I'm always here and I'm always available and I enjoy interacting with all of you. Monday through Friday, your number one source for Red Sox content, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Catch you all on the flip side, and I will talk to you all soon. Thank you very much again.